Australia welcomes migrants who wish to work, invest and stay. Hello, my name is Paul Raftery and I'm a Director with Projects RH based in Sydney. Today I wish to reflect upon the positive contribution that so many migrants have made to Australia through their decision to come, work, invest and stay. Australia has been a country of immigrants since 1788. Australians are, by and large, a welcoming people who appreciate that migration to this great country is necessary for its development. The theme of Australia's 2020 budget, delivered on October 6th, makes it clear that Australia is seeking inward migration of 160,000 people per annum. The composition of this migration has changed, and I think these changes reflect the times we live in and the fact that most migrants who are accepted in 2020 to 2021 will come from the community of people who are already in Australia. The budget increased the number of places available for innovation and investment visas from almost 7,000 to 13,500. A 97% increase. Partner visas increased by 82% to 72,300, and gifted independent talent visas increased by 200% to 15,000. Whilst the number of places in total has fallen slightly, what's happened substantially is there has been a reallocation. Many categories have been reduced. What is clear that Australia is looking for people who can make a contribution. Most will have tertiary education or vocation education as a minimum. They will all have strong levels of English. Given the travel restrictions currently in place, I suspect most of the likely candidates for innovation and investment visas are already in Australia and will have studied here, clearly demonstrating their proficiency in English. Australia's migration policy cannot be seen in isolation and clearly reflects the political thinking of the day. The availability of significant tax advantages for new companies is encouraging investment and innovation. It is well known that the state and federal governments have chosen preferred industry sectors which mostly include technologies. The vision of Australia in the 2030s is very different from that in the 1990s. Australia will continue to export raw materials, food and services, especially education. But the government wants Australia to move towards providing technical solutions and investing in outcomes which will provide annuity income through licensing of technologies. Australia is already involved in licensing technologies in agriculture, mining, energy, biotech and medtech. The government has added to this list space and advanced manufacturing, cyber security and technologies associated with large number sets, which include artificial intelligence. Clearly the government has set the scene and is looking for game changers. Migrants are seen as hardworking, enthusiastic and entrepreneurial. It is these people that are seen as essential in driving the vision of Australia in 2030. 2020 has proven to be a very hard year, and for many people it brought out the very best in them as they needed to deal with financial and emotional challenges, plus the personal reality coupled with the tyranny of distance, that they cannot be with and love their friends and family as they would like. By late March of this year, it was clear that most of our business plans for calendar 2020 were not going to be delivered, and that we would need to radically change the way we delivered what we could do. Quickly, many of us adapted to working from home, Most people I know worked exceptionally hard and long hours, as home meant we were always on call, and video conferencing meant we could go even more time globally. Within a month, it was clear that we may not be physically able to meet people for a long time, and that we would be talking to each other by video conferencing for at least a year. For those in Australia, many of whom were students with good English but no jobs, they were in a definite problem, as there was no defined entitlement of government support. Whilst I appreciate the arguments they were supposed to have the money they needed to support themselves while studying in Australia, the reality is government and most universities understood these people needed to support themselves by working, even if their families were able to support their tuition fees. Little, if anything, was done by government to address this. The migrant community acted with remarkable speed and agility to looking after themselves. And we discovered Gabriel, the arepa man. Gabriel came into our lives, delivering us with our weekly supply of Colombian-style arepas. His story is one of innovation and business creativity. He went from the idea to delivery within a week. He used to be congratulated for the jobs he created when there were need. Tuesday remains delivery day in my local area. He conquered dealing with banks, dealing with licensing, dealing with teams, getting delivery maps, organising kitchens, organising inputs, all within a week. By week 2, our arepas were arriving in shrink wrapped. Many stories like this exist. To my surprise, one of the statistics that was revealed this year is Australia is currently losing people to migration overseas and to become and cease to live in Australia permanently. In the jargon, we have net negative migration. Given Australia already has an ageing population, this places even greater importance on continuing to attract high quality migrants which can make a positive contribution to Australian society. The Australian budget, whilst delivered on 6th October, passed with incredible speed, and by the 9th of October, all its strategic points had been enacted, which suggests that the migration strategy, with other things, is bipartisan support. At Projects Our Age, we have had the good fortune to work with many people of good character who wish to make Australia home. We see predominantly these people fall into 4 categories. Significant investment visa candidates, known as subclass 188B and 188C, where the investor needs to have invested at least $1.5 and $5 million respectively. But importantly, they need state nomination and to demonstrate that they can support themselves whilst living in Australia. Second is successful business people, which apply under subclass 188A. These people already have significant assets and a business overseas, which they can demonstrate has been running profitably. Third is the entrepreneurs, who have come with some of their own money, but believe that they, under subclass 132B and 188E, will be able to attract early stage venture capital funding. The former need to attract $1 million and the latter $200,000. This is not going to be their only source of fund, and many of them do need to attract angel investors. The fourth group are those who are willing to establish new business in Tasmania or to operate existing businesses in South Australia or Queensland outside Brisbane. In each of the jurisdictions there are different rules, but what they need to do is establish that they can create employment or sustain it. In each case, we work with parties who have independent advice from an accredited migration agent that they meet the criteria of the visa. and we are convinced that they are likely to succeed. What is exciting about the work we do is that the people in each category realise that they can make a positive contribution not only to Australia but to the area they wish to propose to live and do business in. For many years I held the view that migration remained strictly a matter for the national government. Over the last 2 years I have come to understand those who wish to remain in Australia under the business and investment visas at least need support of their state or territory government, which operates with a quota of each of the available visa classes. In essence, getting a visa is quite complex and requires that they compete against others and show that they have a good business case. This requires well-researched papers and financial models. Over the last 2 years, Project RH has continued to work with a dedicated team of quality providers who understand what each other does and what we need. Whilst we do not work on an exclusive basis, we seem to see the same faces as we know what each other needs. We generally work with a visa recommendation from RC Australia, a business plan prepared by Dr. Warren Harmer of the Business Planning Company. We prepare the investment documents. Graham Kinder of River Gold and Jean-Michel Flock of Flock International seek investors, whilst Y&S accountants provide accounting and tax advice. We also work with Barry Watkins of Clever Financial Solutions on credit and Richard Carter of Link Business Brokers to assist us in purchasing businesses. We have learned much in 2020 and look forward to applying it in 2021. I believe that Australia's next chapter will see a generation of entrepreneurs from those who we are working with now. I think we live in exciting times, and there are huge opportunities not only for these people but for Australia in letting them have their opportunity to shine. My name is Paul Raftery. I am a director with Projects RH based in Sydney. Ladies and gentlemen, goodbye for now.